So what are all the controls in here?
All right, so start with this. This turns the steam on that goes to the injector to to inject the water from the tender into the boiler.
Right.
So this opens the water supply. When you open this up, it brings the steam down and it goes through the injector, which forces the water into the boiler. This is identical. This is the one on the right. I'm going to release the brakes here while we're standing here. You're clear, right? It will back up a little bit. Okay. Down here. So this is the throttle. This opens the steam that goes down to the cylinder. So you can see the steam coming out. This also controls going slower and fast. This here, that valve is for the blower, or sometimes known as a draft.
Yeah.
And then what that does, when we're sitting here in the station, it keeps the fire going through the tubes up the stack. Otherwise, without the blower, the fire would accumulate in the firebox and it wouldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So the blower's on slightly. We pretty much keep it on all the time, even when we're running. And this is the atomizer to atomize the oil. So this gauge here follows the atomizer. So if I turn it to 1 pound, you can hear the fire.
Oh yeah, I can hear it like roaring really.
So when we're sitting in the station, I turn it down because we're idling the fire. So if we open the door, so that's like idling the fire right now. So we wouldn't make much of any steam with that much. But if I turn the atomizer down even more, the flame's gonna get lazy and start turning color like an orange, and then we'll start seeing smoke, and we can start seeing smoke. If I turn it down even more, see the flame is changing colors. It's causing smoke because we're no longer spraying the fuel; it's just dumping. So I'm going to take the atomizer back up, and then it will clear up again. And now we get a nice clean burn. That's the purpose of the atomizer, is to, as we I think discussed earlier, it is to spray the oil because that's when it burns the most efficient. This valve down here. So every now and then we'll blow. It takes the sight glass all the way down. When I open it, the water level will drop to the bottom. And we do that just to make sure there's nothing building up in the sight glass. And then now you relook at it, and it's back where it was. These two valves isolate. This is steam. This is water. So when you have steam up here, that's steam in the sight glass. This is the water side, and that's what shows you the level of what's going on in the boiler. So we have these where we can turn them off, open up this, and then blow down the sight glass and get any debris that might be in the sight glass. And we do that generally once in the morning. This is the brakes. The brakes stop only the cars. The engine itself has no brakes.
That's interesting. Usually a locomotive would have a locomotive brake and then you'd have a train brake.
And this at one time did too. But as the the park got bigger and bigger, and there was more riders, we have 100 riders in these gondolas. The engine brakes wouldn't be able to do much good stopping that. So if you put brakes on the passenger cars, and each one has its own reservoir, each one is independent. So when you fire this, it sends air which signals a valve to open, and then it applies the brakes to all the cars. And then that releases the air. The other thing it does, instead of the cars pushing the engine into the station, when you bring the brakes on, we're actually taking the pressure off of the engine, and then the cars are pretty much staying stretched. So they're not all bunching up at the end. Now, there is a way to stop this train without brakes. And it's very common practice to do, especially when the cars aren't hooked up. So if you're coming into the station, I'm going to put the brake. Just ignore the fact that I got the brakes on. I don't want the train to move. So say we're coming into the station. If we're going forward and we want to stop, we just move the Johnson bar back. That starts putting reverse on the engine, and that will start acting like a brake. We'll actually putting pressure on the driver.
Now, with the Johnson bar, where did that term come from?
I don't know, but my guess is the person that invented it or designed it, the last name was probably Johnson.
Okay.
A lot of engine parts are named after people. The drive gear here is called Walcher's drive gear. That's what all those extra rods are for.
Yeah.
But if you see a train that has no, let me show you. So the way we're metering the Johnson bar is connected to this. So it meters how much steam, depending on where you are on the notching. It limits the amount of steam going into the cylinder. So when we leave the station, Johnson bar is all the way forward. So it's putting maximum steam into the drive cylinders, and that gives maximum power to get out of the station. Once I'm out of the station, I will start notching back a little bit on the Johnson bar. That limits the amount of steam because now it's almost coast.
What's that device right there?
This goes back and forth by this rod to control this valve in here, and that's called part of the valve gear. Now, again, Walcher's drive gear, you will see all this external on the rods. If you don't see those, and it has just a main rod, basically, then it's an engine that's known as a Stephenson's drive gear. Stephenson's is all located underneath the boiler, and instead of using rods, it's using eccentrics. They're like a cam. So they will go back and forth doing the same thing as this is doing, and also is connected to the Johnson bar. So either one, whether it's Stephenson's or Walcher's, it's going to be hooked up to the Johnson bar, and it's going to meter how much steam you put in here, depending on where you do it. If you pull out Johnson bar all the way back, this engine is going to go backwards. It will completely change the directions of the ports. If you put it all the way forward, it's going to drive it forward. So if you have to use the Johnson bar to stop, you're basically putting it in backwards, pulling the steam valve open, and then it's putting reverse pressure in here, and the wheels won't necessarily spin backwards, but it's starting to push them. And if you open it far enough, it will start spinning backwards. So that also stops this train. It takes a little longer to do it, but again, all your pressure against a full train with 100 people, you're talking 40,000 pounds or so. So you're putting a lot of pressure on the engine, but it is a backup method to stop the train if the air brakes don't work, or if it doesn't have air brakes. So like when we take the engine off the cars at night, or come down from the shed and put them on, we're using the Johnson bar in the yard to control the stopping and starting. It's just a case of move the Johnson, open the steam valve, and it will brake very efficiently, actually. This used to have, I believe, brake shoes on the drivers years and years ago.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you.